All right, already at episode 4 here. First 3 episodes, we're really focusing on our footwork and how important using our footwork in fighting is. So quick recap from episode 3, we worked on from our defensive stance. We have attacking stance and coming back into our neutral stance. From here, we can shuffle sideways and come back into our attacking stance. That's called triangle stepping and in our neutral stance position. It's an important concept in fighting because you want to create angles. You want to create enter, exits, and movements. Fighting is dynamic. Fighting is about movement, ring control. And episodes 4 is going to be about distance control and how to manage that space between you and your opponent. So the basic way to put it with distance control is I like to look at distance and range in 3 different ways or 3 different levels. So Troy's going to be my demonstrator today. So if Troy's standing right here, there's 3 different ranges. I have close range where I want to stay close to my opponent, right? Usually if I'm a shorter fighter and I'm fighting someone tall, I like to use my pressure fight and get on the inside. And that's called our close range. When we're in both ranges to punch and land, right? That's called mid-range, where we're both in attacking range. You can call it mid-range or attacking range. Then there's long range, which is I'm outside of range. This way, I'm totally outside of Troy's range, which makes me safe. So that's my safe range. You like to try to stay in long range where you're safe, or sometimes close range where you're safe. If you're fighting in mid-range, it's a little bit more dangerous. As we go through the series, I'll show you different ways to defend and block in mid-range. But for now, we want to stay in long range where we're safe and use our footwork, our triangle stepping. First thing about range is you have to know how long your opponent's reach is. So if Troy puts his hand out, okay, if I stay here, I'm in mid-range. So I need to make sure I'm just outside of his range. So when we're doing the drills today, I want you to stay at least 1 arm length away so you know how far you have to be. And you need to remember this is kickboxing. So just because he doesn't reach with his jab, his kicks might be around, and this is how you're going to see how effective the neutral stances and the triangle step is in avoiding counter low kicks. So quick example, Troy punches. If he goes to kick, I can go back to my neutral stance, circle, and come back in. One effective way of using episode 3 in episode 4. The first drill, we're going to start very basic and it's going to be very slow. You don't want to over-rush these drills. It's a drill to help your partner. So when you're drilling, take your time. Don't over-rush and run. Let them understand and really grasp the footwork. The first one is going to be almost like dancing, where we're going to follow each other in different directions, making sure we constantly manage that distance so I'm outside of range. So I'm not in mid-range, I'm staying in outside/long range. So Troy and I are here, and we're just going to follow each other, keeping each other's distance and following each other. I like to look at it as dancing, so we're going to just follow each other and dance along. Hopefully Troy's wife is not watching and gets mad at me here. So first thing we're going to do, let's manage our distance. The key to this is using our box stepping, where we constantly don't want our feet crossing, and this is where you're going to see episode 1. And you can see we're constantly staying away from each other, managing distance, and not getting too close to each other, always staying out in that long range. To make this drill a little bit more advanced, we're going to add a pressure fighter versus a movement fighter. I'm going to start being the pressure fighter, and I'm going to pressure fight in more of a straight line, where Troy is going to use the triangle step in the neutral stance in order to move, create angles, and evade my pressure. Here we go. You can see Troy here is keeping distance. As soon as he sees me pressure, he's going to go to his neutral stance, circle out, and move. Now what I'm going to get Troy is using single. I'm going to get him to switch directions a little bit to make his footwork a little bit more fancy and unpredictable which way he's going. Usually in my class, after a few minutes or even a few seconds, I'll constantly call switch. And what the switch does, Troy will now become the pressure fighter. I will become the outside movement fighter, avoiding his forward pressure. So switch. Even if Troy's backing up, I can constantly switch, manage my distance, constantly keep. Troy's pressure fighting me, circle, create my angles. He can come in, I can fake directions and move. As it gets more advanced, you can add some slight punching, very light, just to see how and at far range is. I'm going to mix in punches and kicks with Troy. Switch. And time. Very simple drills. As you can see, we're already 4 episodes in and we've yet to throw a punch. Footwork is key, basics are key. Learning this from an early stage is going to help you a lot down the road. And that concludes episode 4, distance control. And distance control is probably the most important thing when it comes to fighting. You need to know where you are in relation to your opponent. This way you know what strikes work better, how to use better defense. All the best fighters in the world have great distance control. Watch them, study it, and always constantly improve it. Whether you're a pressure fighter or a movement fighter, you need to understand distance and distance control, also called range, distance or range. Same kind of word for the same thing. Make sure if you like these videos and you keep learning, make sure you like, subscribe, and write all your comments below. If you like something, write it below. If you want to learn something, I'll try to answer it in my question and answer segment. Just keep learning, keep liking, keep spreading the love, and keep growing the sport.